What's going on YouTube and my fellow reefers and future reefers? Today we're gonna do a top 10 list. This list is gonna consist of tips and advice that I think you guys should follow in order to have a successful reef tank. Nano and specifically. Now let's start off, what is a nano tank? Well, if you guys are between the 15 gallons all the way up to the 30 gallon mark, your tank is considered a nano tank. Anything below 15 gallons, maybe even below 10 gallons, I would consider that a pico tank. That's a separate type of tank classification. But today we're gonna talk about nano tanks in general and what I think you guys need to do in order to be successful in it. Alrighty, with number 10, I would say is research. And if you're watching this video, kudos to you. You already started doing research. You know, you saw the top 10 list. You want to make sure you're getting as much of advice from different content creators out there in order for you guys to have success with your reef tanks. Kudos to you for clicking on the video. My advice is get your research from reputable. Be careful with forums and be careful with retail shops and websites, and even to some extent, even local fish stores. At the end of the day, they are salespeople. You know, they're salesmen. Not saying that no retail store or local fish store will give you good advice or give you good guidance on what to do in certain scenarios. Be mindful that they are salespeople. You know. I've had good and not so good advice from local fish stores and even like retail websites. So do keep that in mind. Now for research and advice, obviously you want to find people that have some sort of credibility. Okay, I wouldn't be doing this list if I didn't know what I was doing. I've been in the hobby since 2021. I have a large system that houses all kinds of corals as mixed reef tanks, acropora, montes, acans, chalices, you name it, zoas, torches, frog spawn, favias. Want to be in the video, baby girl? Oh, Nala wants to say hi. Can't be a video without Nala saying hi. Want to say hi to YouTube? Hello, friends. I would say forums are probably the worst source of information that I've seen, just because if you guys have any experience with forums, reef to reef and stuff like that, you mainly simply ask one question and I come out of there with 10 other questions, because people the forum just takes off into a different direction and everybody wants to put in their 5 cents in there, and it ends up going way off topic, and now you're asking 10 questions instead of one. So keep that in mind where you're looking at forums. Not the best, to me, in my opinion, not the best source of information. For my number 9 is vision and planning. You want to envision your tank. You want to envision the space. You kind of want to have an idea in your mind of what you want. So now you can plan your tank. Now you can plan your aquascape and you can plan your tank concept. Do you want to do beginner coral only softy tank? Do you want to go ahead and try the acropora approach? Do you want to go ahead and try just anemone tanks? Stuff like that. So it's really good for you to structure yourself and have a plan. And to have success in reef tanks, you have to be organized. You have to have visions. You have to have a plan. So that's my number 9. So number 8 is very simple. Testing. Testing is so important. It's probably the most important thing. Testing, it goes along with also have a thermometer. You know, you temp your water. If you need a heater, get a heater. You want to make sure that you're staying at around 78 degrees Fahrenheit. If you go a degree or down, a degree up or down, that's okay, no big deal. What are you testing for? Salinity, nitrates, phosphates, alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. I recommend using the Salifert test kits. Not only are these Salifert test kits very economical in terms of price, but also they're very accurate. They've been around for a very long time, and they use very low water volume in order to test. Because when you're talking about nano tanks, let's say 15, 20 gallons, and you're taking water away from your system in order to test. So for example, there's these test kits that are very expensive. They're called HANA test kits. They're 4 times the price of a Salifert test kits, but they use like 10 milliliters of water versus the Salifert test kits only use 2 milliliters of water. So that's the charming thing about Salifert test kits. You don't need that much water. And when you're testing for all these parameters multiple times a week, it could add up and it could affect your salinity. So keep that in mind. For number 7, I would say is get your own RODI kit and make sure you're making your RODI at home with a TDS meter. Make sure that you're constantly changing those filters out every so often. You start seeing those numbers rise in your TDS meter. You know, it's okay if you get them from your local fish store, if you have one that supplies RODI water. Some of them charge for the RODI water, some do not, but it's not a very expensive piece of equipment to have in your house. It adds up if you are buying the RODI water, but having that in hand just in case you have to do an emergency water change or anything like that is above and beyond, you know, way better than having to go somewhere else to get it. So I will also say, I'm gonna add this in the category as well, as having good quality salt mix. I don't recommend using cheap salt. Most of these cheap salts you can get away with it if you only have a fish only system, but if you want to have a mixed reef tank, I definitely recommend getting reef grade salt. If you look at the salt market, and if you look at the salt brands that are out there, they usually have like basic saltwater one where the cost is lower, and then you have like a reef grade one which the cost is a little bit higher. Definitely get the reef salt because they usually have elevated levels of alkalinity, magnesium, calcium, and trace elements. So for number 6, I have livestock. Now you have to choose your livestock, and this is so important. You need to understand what you can put in a nano tank. There's fish that are known to carry diseases. Tangs, for example. Tangs are, if you're having a 20-gallon tank, you're probably not gonna get tangs. I would stay away from the concept of getting a fish. I mean, you can keep a tang, but you're gonna probably be able to keep it for maybe a year before it already outgrows the tank. And I don't know about you guys, I get attached to my fish, I get attached to my livestock. The concept of adding a fish in for just only barely a year and having to scoop and fish him out of the tank, I don't like it. I spent the whole year taking care of this fish. Now I have to get him out of the tank, send him to a local fish store, if anything, and I never know if the person that's gonna buy it is gonna take good care of it. So if for livestock, stick with what you can keep from all throughout its lifespan. I wouldn't recommend just getting something for short term. If you guys want to see a top 10 list for livestock on nano tanks, please comment down below. I would happily do a video addressing what I recommend to put in a nano tank. Beautiful fish that you can keep all throughout their lifespan, and utilitarian fish as well. Be careful choosing your livestock. Not only is size a factor and growth, and compatibility. There's some fish that you really can't put together. It's gonna be chaos in your tank. You don't want fish eating other fish or fish chasing each other around, and it's not good. You're not gonna enjoy the hobby if you're not very careful with how you choose your livestock. For number 5, I would say equipment. Equipment is so big. You know, when building your tank. Tank behind me is a Red Sea Nano. It's an all-in-one system. It's about $1,000 from top to bottom. Everything you need to start up a reef tank is there. They give you absolutely every single piece of equipment that you need. But besides the main things that you need to start up a reef tank, there's also quality of life equipment, like an auto top off, auto doser, and a UV light. Now a UV is awesome. Like, I just get the replacement bulbs and I just slide them in the filter stock compartment. I'll show you guys right now, right there. This back is polarized. Even though you can see the UV light, it's dark enough to really block out most of that UV light. I put it in the filter stock compartment, and this helps with fish disease like ick, velvet. It also helps with bacterial blooms, dinos, cyanobacteria. UV lights are so important. Here is what I have there. It's an aqua top. This actually is a replacement bulb. You know, there are some other UV options out there, but this is the simpler one. I have this on a auto timer, and I have him turning on at night. Another really important piece of equipment that you want is an auto top off. The more you're hands off with your tank, and the more you don't have to worry about certain things, the better, and the better time you're gonna have overall. It's gonna not only take up less of your time, it will also not have you cause any salinity swings or anything of that sort. It will help you with keeping those parameters very consistent. Same thing with an auto doser. Eventually, as algae starts growing, coral starts growing, you know, your alkalinity, your calcium is starting to get consumed. You're gonna want to add supplements to your tank in order to replenish those elements that are getting consumed. I recommend All4Reef. All4Reef is an all-in-one, basically supplement system where it doses everything from calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, your big 3, and it also adds trace elements like iodine, potassium, iron, manganese. These are very, very important trace elements that your coral also consumes. So yeah, I think that's all the equipment that you really need. Besides that, I mean, like I said, you can maybe do an auto feeder if you'd like. You can maybe do a lid. I got this lid from Kraken Reef. I do have a little video on it. Really nice lid. It has a little compartment where you can feed. The positives of having a lid, I think, outweigh the negatives. So at number 4, we have beneficial dosing and real estate. Yes, since we're talking about nano tanks in this case, taking consideration that we don't have that much space to work with compared to bigger systems, right? Right now, my tank is it looks kind of empty, you know, it's not really as full as I want it to be, but it's because I know that these anemones and these acants and mushrooms, and even this little clam over here, they're gonna grow, they're gonna split. I am gonna be very patient when it comes to stocking my tank. You can really outdo very quickly the real estate in a nano tank just because of how much space you have to work with. And the beneficial dosing is also another thing I want to touch on. Once again, we keep water. So, and the water is real estate. You know, that's where all your bacteria is. That's where your organisms are, your microorganisms. So though, if you dose, I would definitely recommend on dosing beneficial bacteria, especially earlier on, so they can start taking up that real estate. Bacterial blooms and outbreaks happen because things take over the real estate, essentially. So if you keep your real estate nice and packed with the things that you want, you can prevent bad things from getting into your tank or blooming inside your tank. Beneficial bacteria, things I recommend dosing. You know, Dr. Tim has really, really good supplements out there. Great bacteria, and different types of bacteria, you know. And the more you add to the tank, it's really hard to overdose bacteria at the end of the day. That's the other thing. It's organic, it's no chemicals, it's really good for your tank. I also dose live phytoplankton. This is also as well as copepods. Copepods and phytoplankton is really, really important for your reef tank. It eats up a lot of detritus, and it's a good food source for your inhabitants, and they keep your tank pretty nice and clean. Live phytoplankton, copepods thrive on live phytoplankton. That's what they eat. I make my own phytoplankton. You can also do your DIY live phytoplankton. Number 3. So I know, and I've probably said this before, patience. Please have patience. I have friends that have gone, you know, have had issues with their tank, and they literally throw the kitchen sink at the issue with everything that they see online. They not only try one thing, they try all the 100 things that they see all at once. Nothing in this hobby is going to come overnight. I promise you. Please have patience. I know it's hard, but if you can keep that in mind moving forward, you know, this is not a big system with 120, 200 gallon system where, you know, you can add something bad in there and you can get away with it. So yeah. Nano tanks are not the most forgiving tanks, so you gotta be patient for sure. So for number 2, be proactive instead of reactive, okay? Meaning practice prevention, practice discipline. Obviously, this is at number 2 on the list because if you have been following what I have been suggesting, these are all proactive decisions or steps that you're taking to make sure that you have a successful reef tank. Don't wait for a problem to take over, or don't wait for a problem to happen. Once again, I'm gonna go back to the UV. A UV is a great example. The reason I show you guys the UV is because that is a proactive piece of equipment in order to prevent anything from happening via ick, velvet, cyanodino, bacteria blooms. These are proactive steps that you take in order to prevent issues. So definitely be proactive. Don't wait till you see an issue to react to it. For number 1 and the most important one, and that is enjoy your tank. Please enjoy your tank. Listen, it doesn't matter how much experience you have and how good you are, even if you followed all these steps and you still run into something, it's perfectly normal, okay? It's not the end of the world. I know we kick ourselves. I kick myself when I lose a fish or I lose a coral, but things do happen. And just to give you an example, there is a channel here on YouTube. It's called Polo Reef, and it's basically this guy named Andrew. He has a multi-million-dollar mansion and has multi-million-dollar tanks and aquariums inside his house. His house is basically a huge aquarium. And these systems and everything that he has going on is all millions of dollars. He has a team of professionals there every single day in, day out, looking at every single fish, looking at every single coral, testing everything, and they still run into problems. They still lose fish, they still lose coral. It's just, it goes to show that it doesn't matter how much money you spend and how much knowledge you have, you're still gonna run into issues regardless. To me, that opened up my eyes a little bit. I was like, wow, like, man, this guy has pretty much he's the Bruce Wayne of aquariums, and he's still running into the same issues I do. So yeah, keep that in mind. Enjoy your tank. At the end of the day, this is a hobby. We sometimes forget it's a hobby. Some of us get so much into it that we start looking for problems instead of like sitting back and enjoying our tanks. And yeah, it's important to embrace the goods and the bads. Guys, happy reefing. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys take something from this. Take as much as you can from every single one of us, sharing our experiences and sharing our knowledge with you guys. So have fun with it. Take it easy. Peace.